As if this show wasn't already epic. Donald Trump plans to challenge 2022 elections starting in Philadelphia. The former president is fixated on challenging the results of Pennsylvania's Senate race, which he views, as one source puts it, as a dress rehearsal for Trump 2024. In early September, Donald Trump welcomed a handful of Republican allies to Manhattan's Trump Tower with an urgent message. He saw a scam happening with the midterm election voting in Philadelphia and elsewhere in Pennsylvania, and he wanted conservatives to do something about it. Now, again, real quick, Donald Trump lost the 2020 election. There was no voting fraud, other than the voting fraud, of course, from Republicans. Right? Joe Biden is the winner. Donald Trump is an idiot and a loser. During our briefing, he was concerned that 2020 is going to happen again in 2022, says former senior Trump administration official Michael Caputo, referencing Trump's debunked assertion that voter fraud in Philadelphia helped win Pennsylvania for Joe Biden. That is not true. Caputo, who attended the meeting alongside Bradford County Commissioner Doug McLinko and retired CIA officer Sam Faddis, says they had a message back to the former president. Our team encouraged him to be concerned. Furthermore, I'm advising Republicans to recruit and train election observers and a team of attorneys to oversee historically problematic precincts. I read a study about a month ago that more than half of Americans have an election denier on the ballot, which means more than half of elections in this country, and there's a lot of elections, especially, when it comes to like city council, local level, all that stuff, more than half of elections in the United States have someone who literally does not believe in the Constitution running for office. More than half. But it's not just one meeting, and it's not just Philly. In recent months, Trump has convened a series of in-person meetings and conference calls to discuss laying the groundwork to challenge the 2022 midterm election results. Four people familiar with the conversations tell Rolling Stone. In these conversations, pro-Trump groups, attorneys, Republican Party activists, and MAGA diehards often discuss the type of scorched earth legal tactics they could deploy. And they've gamed out scenarios for how to aggressively challenge elections, particularly ones in which a winner is not declared on election night. Now, again, because of the rise in mail-in ballots, there's which are typically counted later because, it requires waiting for the mail. It requires, going through, whereas election day is instantaneous, right? We also know Democrats are more likely to use mail-in ballots because of Trump's 2020 conspiracy theories. And so that means that in 2020, right, we saw an election that was referred to as the Red Mirage, where Republicans were up everywhere on election night. And then once mail-in ballots were counted, that's why Joe Biden was declared the winner like a week later or whatever, right? So there's really no indication that 2022 would be different. And another fun fact, Republicans were more likely to use mail-ins before Donald Trump. So just throwing that out there. Trump has been briefed on plans in multiple states and critical races, including in Georgia. But Pennsylvania has grabbed his interest most keenly, including the Senate contest between Democrat John Fetterman, who is currently the lieutenant governor, and the Trump-endorsed GOP contender Mehmet Oz. If the Republican does not win by a wide enough margin to trigger a speedy concession from Fetterman, or if the vote tally is close on or after election night in November, Trump and other Republicans are already preparing to wage a legal and activist crusade against the election integrity of Democratic strongholds such as the Philadelphia area. So imagine January 6th, except you get thousands of Oath Keepers with guns, Proud Boys with guns, Patriot Front with guns descending on Philadelphia instead of the Congress in Washington, D.C. Imagine that. And I'm going to tell you this much. I've been to Philadelphia. I've been to protests in Philadelphia. I've been to protests that have had Proud Boys and other right-wing militias in Philadelphia. And usually, things do not end well. I'm just saying, in my experience, having gone to a couple, 3 or 4 different protests there, things can get violent. I've seen a lot of videos of things getting violent. Philadelphia doesn't fuck around. It's a very left-wing city. It's got a lot of very militant left-wing activists that are willing to defend their city. And so, hey, when you've got a theoretical scenario where thousands of quote-unquote right-wing activists, aka paramilitary troopers, try to invade a city, things are not going to go well. Trump's focus on Pennsylvania, however, seems to be more about his own political future than about party allegiance or fealty to a celebrity endorsee. As he hosts meetings on possible 22 election challenges, he's also been laying the groundwork for a run in 24, where Pennsylvania again promises to be a critical and competitive state. As one source who has spoken to Trump several times about a potential post-election day legal battle over the Oz-Fetterman race puts it, Trump views a potential midterm challenge as a dress rehearsal for Trump 2024. So you can read the rest of this article. That's a great photo of Oz there. But anyway, things are going well in the United States of America. So stay tuned for the next episode of What the Fuck's Going On, because it's coming pretty soon. The election is in a couple weeks. If you haven't voted yet, if you don't have access to early voting, then, well, if you do have access to early voting, then vote. And if you don't, then vote later, I guess. But just be sure you vote. I don't know. That's all. Yeah, that's right. I'm pro-voting on this show. So, there you go. What could possibly go wrong?